Whenever you're ready, Gordon.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
On the consent agenda, we have one item, and it's to award the small works contract to Mission Construction for the installation or construction of the concrete foundation for Annex 5 when it moves up to the fairgrounds. We have 3 pay estimates, one for stripe right, one for hick striping. So we have our normal striping and grant funded plastic striping. And then we also have another one for Kirby Nagelhout. And so we're getting close to the end on most of these. So stripe right's done. Actually, all of them are, the first 2 striping ones are done. It's the Kirby that has just a couple more to go. Get close. Construction site, Old Mountain Road is still going. They've started to place crushed surfacing base course though, so that's a step in the right direction. Get closer to finishing. No progress on the other grant funded project for signs and guideposts. Still materials unavailable, or all of them aren't available. West Arlen Road paving. We ground things up last week and the contractor is trying to get their mixed design approved. Actually submitted so we can approve it. And if they do, they'll start paving this week. If not, they won't start paving until the week of the 27th. Yeah.
How much formulation difference is there from mix to mix?
Depends on what kind of testing requirements. So the state has one, but their testing requirements are a lot more stringent. And so they've modified it and the engineer just hasn't submitted it to us yet. Once we get it, it won't take long, but we just have to have it in hand.
I mean, there's only so many recipes, you know, for it.
True.
You're not reinventing the wheel, so I'm assuming it's right. It's the, you know, the one, as you said, the state one is the higher. I assume it costs more to mix.
Yes. Yeah.
And if it's unnecessary, if you don't have to meet that standard, why would you? So.
So we're just waiting on them, and they'll have to maintain the road though in the meantime until we do pave. So I know after last week's rain it was a little rough, but those who came in that direction.
Yeah. You might have lost half your road on people's cars, but yeah, it was a little muddy.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. When they ground up, it was kind of like the perfect storm. It kept raining and raining, and that oil that was in that BST just kind of floated to the top and made it a little more sticky. The debris from the road. Roosevelt grade paving, they're starting on that this week. Just removal of structures and obstructions, and then next week they'll get into the more get ready to pave type work. Design, the Courtney Road's pretty much done, just waiting till we advertise Klickitat path. We're working on that one. And with state parks, and then our courthouse parking lots for next spring. So all those projects are in the works. And then other minor design projects. So there's some drainage work that we're kind of scrambling to get done for the fixing the pavement out on Pipeline at the city limits here in town. And we had some flooding a couple of years back when we had that 500-year event. And so we're trying to prevent normal storms from causing damage to adjacent property owners. So that work will happen at the same time. The maintenance crews, like I said, we're working, they're actually doing the work to repair the pavement on Pipeline Road. And some of the West End trucks are going to haul hot mix for them. And White Salmon crews are still working on that Car Road turnaround for plowing and emergency vehicles and helping on the east side. The building, we're paving, so it's starting to look more finished. So this week they'll be paved out with Court Street and the alley. And then they've started their civil demo guys have started on the main parking lot out front. And so that's moving forward as well. My guess is that work we won't see hot mix out there and then the small parking lot on the west end of the building till sometime in October. Flooring, carpeting and vinyl still going down in the building. They're actually doing the hallways now, so that means most of the subs are getting close to being finished. All those interior window frames and doors are being installed. Especially they're trying to beat the guys doing the cove base, so getting the door frames installed before that occurs in the main areas. Electrical contractor is still, I think, working hard to keep up. They're actually connecting the chiller, all of the backup power, the transfer switches for the generators, and then they're working to connect the boxes on each floor. I think third floor will be first, and then they'll work their way down. But we do have power to the building now, which is good. And so they have lights. A lot of the lights are connected, and kind of their first goal is to get the server room operational for them. Last night we did the cutover for the new fiber line. So we had a temporary outage for a couple hours after 5. The wave guys came and connected all of our new cables that run underground now. And so this last drop couple drops that we have that are overhead, they'll go away. The demo work will be the last. We just want to make sure that everything works okay.
Before, right.
Yeah. So that should be the last outage until we actually, our IT guys actually set up the server room. And then I think on the weekend will be some kind of an outage for moving everything else and migrating to the new building. So we're working toward that. Mechanical guys, I think they had some trouble with the seismic retainers for the chiller out back. And so they can't connect it until they resolve that issue. They don't want to set it twice. So they're waiting, and that's delayed. But we're running out of the coolant season here. So heat will be the biggest demand soon. And I think they're going to fire up the boilers, have the owners or the manufacturer's rep come out and fire those up and make sure those are working. But that should happen fairly soon. So. And then still, I haven't got the moving meeting set up yet, but that'll happen soon in the next couple of weeks. And then nothing new.
If I can ask, when are you planning on BoCC moving over there?
We'll have to work through a schedule with IT. I'm not sure how many, so we want to move the IT guys, and then health is requested being moved over there as well. And then it's going to be dependent on when your PA and recording sound system is all up and running, because your chambers won't work until that happens. So I'm hoping that can be installed in October and up and running. If not, I mean, our backup plan is we can still have this room.
Yeah.
So if you want to be over there and with the potential of having the board meetings here, we can do that too. But I haven't worked through all of them.
I may be still giving it my office space, so I was curious how long I would be without an office space
Oh,
if I chose to do so.
okay.
You can move over there now if you want. Just make a desk out of sheet rock.
Yeah.
Fine, come on.
Yeah.
I'll bring a couple softwares.
There you go. That'd be far too easy for you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll get our occupancy permit until the first week in November. Which is
Well, there is
kind of-
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
I'll just have to wear a hard hat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wear your best and all
Yeah.
that.
yeah, the contractor's over there. He's doing that.
Mid-November-ish, but it could be later, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be able to move about 3 departments a week. That's what it's kind of dependent on them connecting everybody. Our guys can move everybody's boxes pretty quick. But to get everything and everybody reconnected may take a little more time. So that's kind of what we're thinking
I
now.
told you I'm moving with a dumpster, so.
Yeah, the people that are ready, it'll be much easier.
Yes.
We go there and it's
Bring me
like,
some recycle bins and I'm good to go. Shredders, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that everybody was as successful getting rid of stuff. So. So if you guys want to go, I mean, it doesn't matter to me who goes first, other than get IT over there. That's the critical piece.
No, we'll cover it later. I'll rethink the office thing.
Okay. Let's see. Courthouse entry. So Jeff's contractor poured the south entrance and sidewalk yesterday, so that's all poured out. The north entrance, all of it's poured out today, except for some caps. South entrance, they should be able to get the handrail or guardrail up on by the end of next week is the hope. And then that entrance will open back up fully. So this week is probably the most challenging, I think, to get people in and out of the building.
Yes.
Yeah, but the paving will go away this week, and then by the end of next week or first of the following week, we'll have another entrance open. And then the north entrance will follow from there. So,
Are they paving over the top of the asphalt that's out here and just extending or ripping it all out?
it'll all come out, yeah. Yeah, there's places where the base has failed out there, and it just needs to come out. Let's see, so we've talked about heating and cooling units, replacing those. So we have, we're out on ad for 4 units to be replaced at the Pioneer Center. And then we will shortly be on ad for 4 units in the courthouse. So I think we're trying to get them out to ad. There are and have been delays with getting HVAC equipment. Commercial equipment is a struggle. I know we didn't have heating or fan coils in the new building units for several months, 3 months at least. They're waiting on those to come. So I think that's what Jeff's heard
yeah.
is a delay on the new
Coils.
units. Yeah, so it may take, so we're getting them out to add, and it may be springtime before we actually have these units and are able to install them. So, but that's the way it is these days. SADA's pass.
We're still waiting for the survey crews to put in some points for us, but they're pretty swamped right now with the projects.
Yeah, anything I'm missing?
That's it.
So that's the end of our list.
Anything?
Good work, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, one of these days, they're gonna have a update that's like 4 minutes long, and we're gonna go, oh, okay. But they just keep getting shorter. I guess that's good news, right?
Thanks for going well.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
God, you said it out loud.
Yeah, now we're finished.
Yeah, really. We schedule an hour and a half for the next week. All right, good. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Gordy, before you go, I do have one question.
Yeah.
Have we fully resolved the Solar Road issue out east? No other complaints from anybody? I haven't got any, so have you got any?
I have, we've graded, because most all their employees, or a lot of their employees are coming from the valley, and they come from a part of the road that's not a part of the haul route. So we're grading that as needed. Mr. Grabner has called me a couple times and we've had discussions, and he's okay with what we're doing now.
Okay.
The south piece is probably the first mile off of East Road is rough, and so I got to get the contractor to grade, water, and roll that again where they mag chloride it.
Right.
So most of the road's pretty good, but that first mile is a bit rough in spots.
Okay.
And I have got a couple complaints this week.
Haven't got any yet, so fingers crossed.
All right.
That must mean you're handling it, so that's why I thought I'd check.
Yep, we are.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, Ed, but you're always here early, so.
Got a lot of papers this
And
time.
I'll try not to take the balance of their time.
Oh, we know you will.
No,
He's back on the schedule this afternoon, so he'll save some for later.
you had to bring that up. Morning. Again, I guess.
All right, sir.
So start out this morning with the consent agenda items. Have item number 2 on your consent agenda. Is personnel authorization to advertise for a full-time communications officer. Any questions related to that or? On there? Okay.
Please be successful.
Yeah, may the force be with you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'll give you some good and not so good news about that a little later. I'll move right to the public safety radio system performance and functionality. At this time, the simulcast system is operating normally. We have, however, had some issues with the microwave between Juniper and Golgotha, and at times it has keyed up the system. Field users and dispatch can talk over it, but it is the microwave link that we run off from ODOT, so it's their microwave path that we use. So we're kind of at their mercy on that. I've had the techs looking into it for weeks. And as far as we can tell, it's ODOT's issue and they're working through that. They've got a couple different issues actually, according to our last email. They believe they know what it is and they're just trying to figure out how to fix it. Another issue just brought to my attention was the trailer repeater is not, which is up at Sadis Pass, is a mitigating factor for the lack of the Sadis Pass radio site. It seems to not have as good of a reception as it did, so we're investigating that, and there's some troubleshooting being done today on site there. But our responders anywhere north of the monastery out to the county line are having trouble talking to dispatch. On the maintenance side, the laptop security fence has been put on hold right now. So my intent is to fix or rebuild that in a way that it's not likely to get damaged as easily as it has been year over year. I'm going to hold off on that until vet that thoroughly this winter and then figure out what to do about it next year. When we can get there, usually in June after the winter season. The annual radio system preventative maintenance is complete by both tier 1 and tier 2. And those reports came in during, tier 1 and tier 3. During the tier 1 preventative maintenance rounds, they identified 3 sites that had receive system issues that were degraded to such a point that it constituted an emergency repair need. They just weren't receiving, one of which was Indian Hill. The other was Kaiser Ridge. Came down to it, it's the same issue that we've had before, I think 2 or 3 times, where those connectors fail on the coax bead line to the receive antenna system. And so we had to have a tower crew go up there and fix that. The original connections were a subpar, not public safety grade, compression fit, and they continue to fail on us. So that was in the neighborhood of $15,500 for those two sites. If it hasn't already gone through your consent, then it will shortly. And the third site is a backup site, an alternate site. So I put that off for right now to determine exactly what that situation is, and it will be much less expense because it is a site that we sublease from PUD, and it's not a tower, it's just poles, so we should be able to do that work with a bucket truck and not have the expense of having a tower crew go out there. It's just to get them to mobilize is,
It's quite a bit.
yeah. So that's what I've been dealing with on those issues. The sustainable funding project is waiting on the treasurer for some more information, and frankly, for me to have more time to get back to that. I've been probing that along with my structure review as well, but I need some more information about what the potential revenues could be if we take certain actions. And we did receive the surplus radio equipment that I mentioned before. Hood River County was able to surplus that to us. I received it last week, and I'm being told by the engineer that that's about $150,000 worth of equipment that came free to us. So we'll be deciding now which of it we can use that say this passed in the new build, and which of it we will keep on hand as spares for our system. So I'm very excited about that. Any questions about that?
Why did they change?
Yeah, that.
Other than the question I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, I'm not sure the details there, but it is relatively new installation for them. But they decided to go a different direction. They are upgrading their whole system similar to what we did, or are still doing. But they decided to replace that. I believe that some of that was grant driven, and so they had grant dollars to use and replaced it. They're able to surplus it to us. So,
Well, I'm happy to have it. I feel bad for the Hood River County taxpayer, but
yeah, I'm not.
I feel fine for the Klickitat.
I wasn't gonna go
Not my
there, yeah.
problem, but
And
not my monkey.
And the
not my
$150,000 really translates into much more for us, because if we have those spares as that equipment ages out from production and maintenance and so our support and so on, then we'll be able to keep our system operating longer without having to replace big sections of it, like was in my 40-year projection.
Right.
You know, you're talking $1 million here and there to replace a whole channel or some microwave or whatever. We'll be able to use this to keep it running longer. So, yeah, I wasn't, no matter the reasons, I wasn't gonna let that opportunity go by.
Well, I appreciate it. I was just kind of curious
Yeah,
why they would get rid of something that's.
I didn't get into it with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's probably a bad idea for you to question them, but yeah.
Nope. I'm gonna go there. On the site lease agreements that go off the Butte site with Benton County, that's a sublease, their location, and we sublease from them. I'm happy to report that after I questioned their numbers and sent their information about what we had there and how much they were charging us for that sublease, or were going to charge us in the new lease, and passed that off to the engineer, and he did a full site inventory and review. He could see right off the bat there were things on there that wasn't ours. They were attributing equipment that they charge for a radio and so on. They were attributing things to us that were other people's, KPUD for an example, and other people that sublease there. So when our engineer said this is actually what belongs to Klickitat County, the total went from 11,000 plus a year down to 7,400 a year to start with. So I was happy about that.
Has anybody looked to see how many years back we may have been being charged for the wrong thing? And is there any way to recoup that money from?
We learned that this is a new contract that they've come up with because the landowner determined that Benton County wasn't paying them sublease fee shares. So our current contract, since this one hasn't been updated, stated that Benton County would tally up the total of the cost to operate that site and maintain it, and then share that, break it out as a cost share between all the subtenants. They have not done that since I've been here. And when I first got here, I repeatedly tried to reach out to them, and nobody was sending anything.
So we weren't paying anything.
We were not paying anything for at least the last, what it'd be 6, 7 years now. Yeah, and I doubt that we were before that. So
Again, some other counties' mistakes is our game.
there's a lot of
Klickitat County taxpayers, thank you.
moving parts there, yeah. And the landowner is a Klickitat County taxpayer, and he's taking legal action against Benton County. So see how that works out. I talked to them after I became aware of the whole situation. See what comes from that. The other two leases, given current workload and staffing issues, in my department, I put those both on hold for now. The radio project, yes, I have basically the same thing to say that Public Works did. However, Rural 7 fire commissioners at their monthly meeting last Wednesday. I think it's monthly. Anyway, they had a commissioners meeting last Wednesday, in which Wednesday morning I became aware that they were displeased and considering drafting a letter to the county about why Saves Pass hadn't been finished and why they were continuing to put up with a lack of radio coverage from Fox Canyon Road north of the county line and so on. So I went to their meeting and gave them an update as I knew it on the project, answered their questions. And that was when I was made aware that they were having issues with the trailer repeater, because I had gotten no reports of anything like that. So I said, I've got a report for them, send it out all the time. I need all that level of detail before I can, do anything. It doesn't work out there. Doesn't give me anything to take action. So they were understanding of that, and I think we, came to an agreement that we can work together better, and we'll see how that progresses. But they're very interested in when Saves Pass was going to come online, because they've been waiting for that for years. And the latest incident was a motor vehicle collision at mile marker 32, I believe it was, and right on scene, they couldn't talk to dispatch. They went a mile down the road and then could. So it's going to be hit and miss out there anyway because of that canyon on the other side of the pass and all the terrain. Yeah, we're looking into if the trailer repeaters had a change in performance. So based on that report. That's all of that. So 911 call taking and public safety radio dispatching. I regret to inform you, I do not have the call volume report for July or August. Hope to bring that all to you at one time when I can get it from my phone vendor. I'm trying to make sure we get that report.
There's 4 other
properly.
higher priorities, I'm sure, on your list, so I'm okay with that.
That's what it's coming down to. Yes, thank you. Under staffing, as of this morning at 0600, I declared an emergency staffing condition for communications officers. Currently, we're down 2 positions. One person started in training yesterday, which is the good news. We found someone that was working as a communications officer in Arkansas, already had plans to move here. She's graduated from Goldendale High School, lived here, and moving back. So as I said, she started with us yesterday and she's currently in training. She's, their agency was similar to us in what they serve, all fire and law enforcement in their county and so on, and EMS. However, they have no technology there. They were still writing everything down by hand, pen and paper. Some things that they entered into an Excel spreadsheet, that they had no computer-aided dispatching system, record management system. Yeah. The 911 phone was a regular desk phone handset, and then another phone for the non-emergency, and a boom mic for the radio, no headset. So we will have to teach her how to use all of our technology. And I was frankly astounded that, anybody still operates that way in this time, but it's the case. She knows how to do the job. She just needs to know how to use our systems. So hopefully that will be an accelerated training process. And we anticipate by the middle of December, she will be released from training, but that's just the best guess. We also have the open position, which I mentioned earlier. Had a training, one full-time resigned effective the 15th, and her last shift was last night. We're also going to have one of our communications officers out for 2 to 3 weeks for a medical procedure starting the 28th. And we've got one retiring at the end of December. So all those things led us to be, as well as the seniority bid vacations we have for later this month and in the coming months. It will be, if anything else happens, it will be difficult on all of us to cover dispatch shifts 24/7.
Sorry, go ahead.
What's the plan?
Well,
What do we
one,
do? Hopefully nothing will
Yeah.
happen, but
Well, as has happened before, this is not unique, right,
Right.
in our structure and our staffing. When I first got here back in 2015, we were 3 or 4 people down at a time, off and on. And so it just means that everybody that's left got to work overtime. We can't not answer 911 phone.
No.
And we're not,
Mandatory overtime leads to potential burnout and
it's a perpetuating cycle.
cycle, right?
something
Part of
we
what
will
I'll-
figure out long term.
Part of what I'll be back to talk to you about later this afternoon.
When you do hiring and let's say you get 6 applicants and you hire one, do those people that are still on the list stay as current applicants a month from now when a new position opens, or do you have to repost and get all those people to reapply again if they're interested?
I don't know what the actual time frame is, but and HR would know specifically. We can use them if it's in a short enough period of time. Right? We can't go back to the ones we've already either scored their apps or interviewed if there's anybody that looks promising in there. In the last 2 rounds, we haven't got anybody like that, except for the person that we hired, which had experience already. She's been doing the job for 3 years, come next month. So the rest of them are either people trying to keep their unemployment benefits by applying so often, or people that are really looking for other jobs that don't really want to do this job. You can tell by their application.
Or they're trying to move up from Dairy Queen and have no skills to bring with them.
Yeah, I mean, customer service, we see from an entry-level person, what we call a rookie off the street. No real relevant experience to 911 dispatch, but customer service is a thing that we look for because that's a lot of what we do. We answer phones and deal with those people, even though it's in a high-stress environment. It's the basis of that is customer service. So we do take that into account. And then there's a fair amount of clerical that our comms officers do and the legal paperwork and so on. So just because I've never been anything like a call taker or a dispatcher before, we don't have anybody like that supplied, we look for those other things. Other, training and experience and just their aptitude for that, as well as the multitasking that must take place. And then bright spot is also that we interviewed 4 candidates for the chief of operations position last Wednesday. Waiting the panel's recommendations. I have 4 people on the interview panel. One from the 911 coordinator and chief civil deputy from Skamania County. Brought him from the outside to have a fresh perspective, as well as HR and myself and Randy, administrative assistant from my department, on that panel. Kind of go through all of their scores and their recommendations and make a decision hopefully later this week. We did get 2 people from outside that are currently working. Well, I guess one of them's working, the other one is quit because of COVID and his daughter's experience. But they were communications shift supervisors, or are. So I'm weighing that against the 2 people that applied from within. Lots of decisions to be made there. But back to your original question about what are we going to do? Managing that schedule with that level of staffing gets very complicated, but with the good team of people that we have, right? They all have, since I've been here, worked together. So if they need time off, they'll either do a trade, because that doesn't put a hole in our schedule to make somebody do extra time. They're just trading their hours from one day to the next. Or if somebody, needs that time off and can't trade, then we work it out to the best advantage of everybody. Because everybody realizes that if they take a day off or any number of days off, they're making multiple other people work extra shifts on top of the extra shifts we're already doing to fill the holes that we have.
Is management people that are not normally answering the 911 calls filtering in to take overtime shifts to alleviate the pressure off the normal dispatchers?
I'm the only one left. And no, I'm not qualified to do that. Our lead communications officer has always done that. He fills shifts all the time. He's my first line supervisor, if you will, as lead comms officer. He's the only one between me and the comms officers right now. And when things get busy, so I'll say that I'm not qualified to take 911 calls, especially to give medical pre-arrival instructions, to take medical calls. However, I can talk on the radio. So if it gets crazy in there, I will go in. I have gone in, even when we're not understaffed. The 2 that are working get overwhelmed. I go in and I start working the radio and answering radio traffic. I'm not formally or officially qualified. Yeah. We are and we'll continue to do everything we can. Training and operations is still coordinating with the state. I am now the active 911 coordinator, liaison with the state for that grant administration. I'm very grateful. Randy and myself both, and mostly Randy, have been able to reach out to the state 911 coordinator to facilitate that grant management, and she has been a great benefit and help to us in that process. And I'm happy to report that the last grant cycle, which ended in the end of June, they did close that out. August 16th, we got a letter. We expended all of those grant funds successfully, which can be, we didn't want to leave anything on the table. We can use it all. It's just a matter of making those reimbursements fit into their requirements and so on. So I'm very happy to report that with as I mentioned before, last time I was here, August 10th, I believe it was, the new state legislation regarding law enforcement's handling of mental ill and domestic violence and other things, but specifically mental ill persons, and affecting our workload because we get put between the officers and mental health and longer phone calls trying to get mental health. When law enforcement can't do anything. One particular case has been ongoing for over a month now, and it still has not come to a resolution. Many calls for that one subject. I was reached out to late last week and talked to Representative Mossbrecker's office staff. She has invited me and other responders in her area for a roundtable meeting to discuss those issues. So see what happens. I think that's next Wednesday. But that's encouraging that we're going to try and work on that together, state level on down, and then she wants our perspective. I'm encouraged. The mass casualty incident plan is still pending release and approval from all the stakeholders. I've seen no movement on that. I haven't had time to pay attention to it in detail, but there's been nothing new. It needs to be updated and approved, but still waiting. The fire districts, radio system and dispatch use service agreements are still in process. Of all but 2 fire districts have returned their agreements. Gonna reach out to those last 2 and see what's going on, but a lot of those only have fire commissioner meetings once a month. And so the timing of when they received them should have time now, but if they wanted to review it and then table it for the next meeting, it can take up to 3 months probably. And as a reminder, those are the 1-year agreements. They will expire again in the end of June next year. Any questions about 911 dispatch?
Doesn't appear to
You think
be.
you're gonna get those 2 signed before we have to sign them again?
No,
We
I'm
don't
the
know that
last.
answer.
I'm the last one that will, say things negative about volunteers, because all of our chiefs are volunteers, except for, I believe, 3, maybe 4 of them, and their commissions, commissioners. So, yeah, I just, it takes a little extra work to reach out to them and
To some of them.
get to that, get to a place there. But frankly, I'm not disappointed that there's only 2 left. I mean, that's doing pretty good, especially after some of the immediate feedback that I got from a couple of the larger districts and then another district. It's like, yeah, they were all upset about the fact that it might be users fees and so on, and wanted to meet with me or one of you or both. Since dealt with all those, and we are here. Emergency management program. I'm sure you're well aware of all the continuing issues around the pandemic. We did return the EOC to the lowest level of activation, just monitoring. However, myself and my program coordinator continue to receive and fulfill requests for PPE. The last one was from KVH. They had an inaccurate inventory of their N95 masks and ran out. I believe that was last week. They had 3 COVID patients in hospital that they weren't able to transfer. So they were going through PPE supplies rapidly. And we got them, I think, another 2,000 masks the day after they requested it, late in the afternoon. As well as some other fire districts and schools, which are now having to step up their PPE and precautions. So
Are we getting any more PPE in, or are we just starting to burn through what we have?
I'm working on managing the inventory that I have. Because currently the the staging container that we have for that we've already got on hand is full, and I've got 3 or 4 pallets being stored in one of Rule 7's truck bays, an extra bay. So yeah, until I get to a level that we can actually store what we have, balance that out.
And are we only giving it to the hospitals and fire districts, or are we also giving it to businesses or anybody else?
Not private businesses, schools, as I mentioned,
Mhm.
hospitals, and nobody's asked. There hasn't been a big push for any of that. Dentist office, things of that nature. Still, yeah, the state is really loosened up their tiered requirements for who we can and can't give the things that they've given us. Yeah, and they're leaving a lot of that discretion, up to me as the local director. So yeah, we haven't withheld anything that was reasonable. And we
So
still
we
have,
have, so we're just trying to use up some of our, like, we're well stocked. If we can't, so we can't even store everything we have in our own facility.
correct.
And so until we get kind of pulled down our inventory down to that.
Yeah, once I'm,
That's mostly good news. That just shows how good you were at acquiring the PPE.
I owe that to my EOC team.
Did we ever get cut the check for the bad masks?
I
I
believe
think so.
we got reimbursed. It wasn't a check, however, it was a credit back to our
Credit on that, yeah.
visa,
Okay.
which we purchased them on.
Got
Yeah, so we did get reimbursed though. All but one box.
Does our, and that was the open box.
That was the-
Yes,
The PPB we have, was it paid for all out of county money,
it was all free to us from the state.
grant money, all free handed down?
Came from the state EOC. Everything we're currently, in the beginning, there were some
What
things.
kind of PPE was it? Was it just masks? Was it gowns, hair nets? I mean, was it everything? Face
Everything.
shields?
Yep. Everything. Yeah, in the end, they were able to provide everything. And that was when people could start getting it for themselves. So. the
Were they
state was-
providing it just to you to distribute to the hospitals, or were the hospitals getting their own shipments as well at the time?
Not from the state EOC or Department of Health. That all has to come through,
Through
as a
you?
matter of policy and procedure, it comes through the emergency management of each jurisdiction.
Right, they could try to acquire their own
Correct, yeah,
stuff on the private market.
yes, and those policies and procedures stipulate that the individual requester needs to request that, exhaust all their options in purchasing for themselves.
Who's not behind the post.
And then, if they can't get it for themselves, then they submit a
They can come
request
with
to
requests,
local
and then we
EM.
can
And then,
potentially,
yeah, if we can't fulfill their request, then we pass it up to the state. But for a while there, the state was trying to get rid of everything they could. So, and didn't want anything back. That was like the pallets of things for the schools, and our schools that we got as a special allotment for the schools, and then the schools didn't want it. We couldn't, they wouldn't take it from us. And then also some of the things for agricultural businesses and workers, we still have like 5-gallon buckets of hand sanitizer, things of that nature. It was specifically designated for schools and ag, but now use it for whatever you need it for. But yeah, we continue to work on those things as they come up, and like I said, I don't know if they're paying attention, but yeah, situation in our counties and surrounding counties. Yakima County continues to have deaths almost daily. So pay attention to that as much as they can, but we'll see what comes next. Wildfire season report. After I got done writing this up last night, there were 2 more fires. Monday, at the end of the Hood River Bridge on the east side, there was a brush fire in White Salmon's jurisdiction. Then just as I walked in here this morning, there was another small brush fire on Highway 142 just north of Lyle. And back on August 17th, there was the Horn Lane Fire in Wishram, which started right in the town of Wishram, towards the east end of town. We did have level 3 evacuations ordered by the sheriff's office. I did call the state and request an FMAC declaration. And after they went through their process, they chose not to pass it up to FEMA because it did not meet the threshold for infrastructure and homes and so on being threatened. Took me a little by surprise, but being right in the middle of town. But we didn't get an FMAC declaration out of that one. And in the end, the firefighters, as they always do, as well as some of the deputies who grabbed some hoses and helped after they've done door-to-door UVAC notices. And we put out the emergency notification system messages. The law enforcement, sheriff's office deputies were helping those firefighters fight fire in and around houses. They got it all under control. I think for that incident, they paged out mutual aid for 6 or 8. They went pretty far out. And there was a spot fire quite a ways to the east. Some members got blown over there. So Rural 7 and Centerville came and took care of that as a separate kind of incident. But it all worked out in the end. Nobody lost their homes. A couple of outbuildings, I believe, were lost. Next is the burn ban, county burn ban that we are responsible for. The National Significant Wildfire Potential Outlook from the Interagency Predictive Services says that the remainder of September is going to be high likelihood of significant wildfire potential. But then in October, we return to an average, so normal for us for October, which in past years we have extended it, the burn ban into October. Currently, and I put out the question to CACIFA, all the fire chiefs. They're requesting zone 1 be extended to October 31st, and which is the east end of the county. Well, we used to have it on one of the
I
maps.
thought I was looking.
So it's basically Rock Creek East, zone 1. The eastern boundary of Rural 7's district east. It would be fire districts 2, 10, and 9. Bickleton, Alderdale, and Roosevelt are requesting an extension for a month. And then zone 2 and 3, the central and west part of the county, are asking for an extension to September 15th.
So tomorrow.
Or, excuse me.
Should be October. That's what I was hoping. I was gonna ask.
Yeah, that's right. No, they all
Oh, no,
expire.
it needs to be.
Yeah, they expire the 30th.
The end of the month.
This month.
Right, okay.
My
They
mistake.
say, wow, you're really betting on that rain. this
Yeah,
year."
woo.
Well, I mean, as we all know, that the rain that we got last week was very helpful, but that effect only lasts for a few days. And the fires that we had yesterday and today were kept small because of that higher humidity. Yes, we're hopeful that, and I pose this question back to the fire chiefs, because these responses came to me before this last Friday's rain, and it was much more than the National Weather Service had predicted. I mean, not much, but it was what we would call a significant rain event for this time of year, and a wetting rain in some areas of the county. But I posed that question back. Anybody want to, change their recommendation based on that and this coming weekend's forecast? And the people that replied back were, no, it's going to get dry again. And even if it doesn't, people can wait to burn their piles. The complicating factors for those of you who haven't been involved in the past is modern rifle deer season opens in the middle of October. I think it's like the 3rd Saturday, generally speaking. I think it's the 16th this year. So what will happen if we put a burn ban, even this one is Friday the 15th, those people start coming to their deer camps and camping from somewhere else, the wet side, a lot of times, and they'll just fire up a campfire and we'll get a lot of calls to go out and put illegal burn campfires out. If we have a burn ban past the opening weekend of deer season, the volunteer firefighters get run ragged doing that. So if conditions, warrant it, and it's a question, we stop at least before that in the central and west end. The east end of the county, they're okay with doing with that because they've got much drier conditions out there, and they're ready to go to the 31st.
State land managers are reopening 2.3 million acres of eastern Washington lands this Thursday, so.
Is that now to public access, but still no fires, correct? I don't believe they're gonna allow.
Public access, camping,
Bow hunting.
They hadn't decided last time I looked. But not, yeah, so
And
that,
then the no fires will go until the end of September.
Yeah.
And that's from the June order.
right. So you can access their lands but not have a fire
they
yet.
not have a fire. And we don't know, everybody follows those rules.
Yeah, there again, even though it's state land, we get called out for those, any of the state properties around here, Stinson Flat and all those. Somebody decides to have a campfire there, our firefighters have to go respond, and law enforcement. So those, I have created 3 new resolutions, zone 1, 2, and 3 is indicated here. Be submitting them for your agenda next Tuesday. If you have any questions, let me know. But typically, I take the recommendation of the fire chiefs and make that same recommendation to you. It's too close to tell, but my professional analysis, people really don't need to start burning this early. Right? Campfire is one thing, but we can't parse that. But outdoor slash burning is just really still too risky, as we've seen by 2 fires in the last 2 days.
What started that fire down there in White Sands?
I've not heard yet. Yeah. I don't, yeah. There is some homeless population that's down there between the highway and the railroad tracks there east of the bridge. But would just be speculation on my part. But it was in that area. Yeah, it's frequented by them. iPause, still want to get that integrated into our alert and warning system, but on hold for now. I've got some priorities for my program manager to be working on. The same thing with training and exercises. And so next is the grants and the grant projects. That's what I've got him focused on. A mobile command post enhancements project. To complete that 20 EMPG, we had an amendment to change some of the projects in there, as well as extend that to the end of this month, as it was set to expire at the end of August. So we're desperately trying to get that project finished. And so you should see, I believe next week, come up on your consent agenda for authorization to purchase the equipment to install in there. And that is all grant reimbursement funded. The 20 EMPGS was all about COVID, and it ends December 31st, and we're still trying to decide what to do with the remainder of those funds, which is the refund of those N95 masks that were counterfeit. For the first time, the state wants to meet with us and talk about the wrong one. 21 EMPG, there's so many 20s and 21s. The EMPG was submitted to the state. We're waiting to hear back from them on approval. 20 should, 18 are in progress, 19 is on hold because it's got a farther deadline. The 21 shush is the one that the state approaches and wants to review that application. It's the first time they've ever done that. So we'll see what they want to talk about next Wednesday. And then lastly, which is a requirement that will shortly, we're being told, be tied to the use of EMPG grant funding, is a FEMA National Qualification System implementation notice that I received. So there again, FEMA saying that if you don't have your people that work in the EOC trained to this level for these things, then your funding is in jeopardy. So we'll see how that plays out. Williams meter and valve station rebuild and upgrade project. Had a meeting sometime last week where they outlined, and this, if you're not familiar, the meter station across Highway 14 from the Hood River Bridge.
Apparently directly in line with.
Yeah.
the new one.
You know, he was making a left turn,
Okay.
but he didn't make it all the way. Yeah. So at the city of White Salmons, with my support, their city of White Salmon and Bingen, as well as Hood River and Hood River County, I'm sure, their urging was to not only repair that site, but also upgrade it so it's less likely to happen again. That work is scheduled to begin sometime soon and be completed in late October or early November. And it comes with a whole host of changes that will make it less likely that a vehicle off the highway could ever do that again and cause that significant of an outage, which was Williams and Northwest Nationals. I think it was actually Northwest Nationals' worst outage in 50 some years.
Major.
It's great that we got to, be the
Guinea pigs.
recipients of that, yeah. But especially right over Christmas. There was also a rural city and town wildfire evacuation vulnerability study and analysis briefing that I attended a few weeks back because it directly pertains to our cities and small towns. It was conducted by the USDA Forest Service, and it took into account road quality and fire hazard using a matrix to put in, what kind of roads are in the area, how many roads provide evac out of the towns or cities. And it was all about small rural communities. And they rated highest vulnerabilities, 5 Klickitat County towns, and in the high vulnerability category, all 3 cities and 5 additional towns, which are the 2 highest ratings that they gave. So myself and my new program manager will be paying attention to that and seeing if this work can result in any recommendations on what we can do to mitigate the evacuation vulnerability of these communities, and funding that might come along with that will be the next steps. But yeah, having someone do that analysis and taking into account real world data, it sounded like a worthwhile study and analysis to me. It wasn't just a fluff thing. That's why I paid attention to it. We'll see what comes of that. And last note is our emergency management program coordinator is doing a great job. He hit the ground running. And I'm very happy with his work so far. He's a self-starter and self-motivated, doing a great job for us right when we need it the most. Anything else? Good. Just another bright spot, as Randy gave me the report for the REAP. That is a revenue stream into our 135 communications fund, and it is currently $31,882 over budgeted revenues for this year to date, which was 9th. That's encouraging. People are continuing to buy real estate.
So let me understand. So it's 33,000 over budgeted revenues
Over what
for
we,
the whole year, or where we should have yet at this point.
for the whole year.
Okay, so
Right.
that is extra bright then.
Yes. Yeah, it's, yep. I think
That's
we,
consistent with what we see out there as far as
yeah,
it's
we,
crazy.
yeah, we budgeted, I think it's in the $24,000 a month range. And 1 month, I can't remember if it was June or July, it was like $45,000. So, yeah, there's it's unexplainable. I mean, it's great, we'll take it, but I don't know why it continues. It
Do you have this?
happened all last year.
Do you have this number forecasted in your 2022 budget revenues or not?
Yes, and some adjustments made for that. Based on, so the fact that 2020 produced, oh boy, I don't want to quote a number because I got too many in my head right now. We got significantly more REIT revenue than we expected, than could even, reasonably expected to get because of what went on with the pandemic and people just started buying property like crazy. So in 2019, we're budgeting for 2020. We budgeted what the annual increase had been, right? We just kept creeping it up because it has gone up over the 6.5 years I've been here. Budgeting that as close to what was expected as possible so that we, can use that and not request other county funds. And we've been pretty accurate at that. But 2020 was just an, amazing year. So that we put that into the 2022 budget as, being able to use what we expect, even on a low estimation, if this continues. It can't go on forever, but it's hard to predict, right? But that plus what we already realized to bridge the gap for what we need. And then still, and I don't want to get ahead of the budget workshop, but my proposal was that we use that money that we received in 2020 and that we're receiving this year to fund that part of my department, and then relieve, so we reduced the amount from the landfill dollars that we typically receive. So we reduced the landfill revenue into that fund at the same dollar amount that we expect to have and have already realized in revenue, extra revenue from the REIT that comes to our account by resolution. So just thought I'd end on
And
that.
on a good note. That's
Yeah.
good. Good job.
Anything else?
Bring more money.
Well, I'm doing everything I can, and it's not, I'm just bringing the news, right? The citizens, well, I don't know if they're all citizens, but
You brought
The
some
public-
really bad news for Hood River County and what was it,
Right.
Benton County?
people are buying our land, and they're doing all that.
Every
but
transaction, we get some of it.
I'm gonna take it as a win.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. I'll see you back at 2:00.
You call.
There's a potential for maybe a cancellation. Could you come earlier?
I believe I could.
Is that okay with the board?
How much earlier?
We don't end up having a conversation about something else during that time.
Right.
Could be,
Well,
it could be 1:30, it could be 2:00.
Okay,
Well, it could be at 1:32.
Yeah.
Or it could
Well-
be at 2:00.
I will email you.
Yeah.
all would be better. I haven't looked at my email since yesterday morning.
Or we have board
But
meeting for half an hour.
I could just show up at 1:30 and be ready, just in case. You let me know. Yeah.
Of the historical question for Mr. History over here. Good luck. This number, transportation. First, there was a thought that this might be a grant, but I sent an email and it's not a grant. It's going to be
Right.
county fund and it's going to be county vehicles. So should there need to be a transportation number on it?
They just stick it in there just to, it's so
For a
that you have an.
budget- For a budgeting.
Yeah, so that you understand what the real cost of
cost is.
attendance, even though it's a
Even
county
though-
vehicle, it's not, there's not.
Okay, no, that was just good enough. Cause that was kind of, am I in trouble? No,
No.
I'm just
No.
educating myself.
No, I had that early on too, where I'm like, "What, are we just giving them that money? What's it's like, no, it's just to have an idea of what the actual cost. Same with staff, like some of them, sometimes they'll do the staff time for, where it's like, well, we're paying you anyway, but it's nice to understand what the,
Well, on
Actual
there it
cost.
also shows like what percentage of this will be covered by a grant.
right,
And so that's always,
Do they usually put it on there if it's covered by a grant or?
they typically, they would if it was. Because I think there's a line on there that asks that.
So it says paid from, usually down here, it'll show that there's a grant and you say paid from which grant and then what.
How much
of it.
percentage is
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's a little
100%.
different than it used to look though.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was always on there.
that always made a difference too.
No, because I
Is it
just
on
saw
whether
that
you're
one and I
spending
was-
my
I
money
was just
or
trying to
your
educate
money?
myself, so I was asking whether this is grant money or
Yeah.
county money, and then she started getting worried, and I'm like, no, calm down. That's fine.
so I've got one that we came across today, and that was someone from Ecology went and floated the white salmon in the Klickitat rivers and came up with some issues. One of those was the Gary Gottschalk property. And so that got inputted into the state system. And we have a new code compliance officer coming on board, but bringing that person up to speed can take some time. I believe Ecology just got a new water quality investigator as well. So one of the thoughts is it's supposed to rain this Friday, and you guys saw those pictures. It would probably be a good idea to get some sort of best management practices inputted so that all that doesn't run into the river. My thought was in this situation, because we don't have somebody on board, it may just be one of us needs to contact Mr. Gottschalk and say, hey, this needs to happen. If it doesn't happen, you're going to have a lot more problems with ecology. And I just want to talk to you guys about that. That's something we
Yeah.
can take on ourselves and just do.
I think in the interim.
You want me to call? I would say Jake could call, because it's in his district.
I think that would be a better decision.
Yeah, I think that, yeah. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah,
So I'll take that on.
Okay.
And then there was one other, and that is possibly a boat launch or something on the Klickitat River that might come our way. But other than that, he didn't say any others that were found.
A
potential violation.
Potential
at
violation.
a
Of
curb
the
over.
shore, yeah.
I think it was somebody removed some shrubbery or something.
Have we got Ecology's permission, or I know there's a new Klickitat boat ramp on the
Oh, never mind.
6-year plan. Have we got any buy-off from them, or is it just on there for when it ever gets?
Is that the one in Lyle? What are we
There's
talking about?
two, there's a Klickitat and there's a Lyle.
Is there a Klickitat?
What are we talking about?
The 6-year infrastructure plan, there's two boat ramp, one's Klickitat, one's a Lyle. And I was curious if those, they're both 2024, 2026, something like that. But I was curious if
Oh,
we get any buy-off from
so-
Ecology. before
so
we
in
put those on the
Lyle,
list.
going down that road, there's that Forest Service property on the
Right.
bottom, but you gotta go across us to get down to it. So I think that one is, and then the other.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah, I
right
know what
down
you're
at the
talking about
bottom.
now.
And then the other one might be the county park up there, up the cliff.
Up the Klickitat.
Right.
Unless it's somewhere else, but that county park's the only one I know that we own that we have going down there.
And we would have to get,
I was
we
gonna
would
say,
have to
eventually
coordinate,
you'd have to work
get
with
a,
Ecology, but I
get
didn't know if
the
we
necessary permit.
even float the idea with them before we put it on the list.
I think the little property down there by Lyle, you're more than 200 feet away. You don't need to float anything. Because we just own going down like that first start of that steep hill. And then it's all Forest Service down past there. So I think we're outside the shorelines.
I don't know what either one of those plans are. I'm sure. in the next 4 to 6 years we might
Right,
find
I
out.
don't think they're super developed
Right.
Because they're all funding.
4 to 6 to 8 to 10.
Right, they're just on the list, and if they're able to attract, because you can't go after the grants if it's not on the list.
Right.
So it's a chicken and egg thing.
And that is a goofy road going down there. I've got, so the one road, the main road down is 200 feet away from the water. The little alternative road, and I don't even
think that's the real road.
I don't even think that one down there
Is
actually
within
there
the
anymore. I think they got rid of that, but that one's 83 feet from the water. So if we're just doing this county park road down through here where it comes in, because I think they blocked all this up with rocks.
Yeah.
Then we're outside 200 feet. You guys got anything else?
Anything
I
else?
got a ton more, but
I do, but
I'm good for board pending unless
Yeah.
you want some of it early.
I have some other work to do, so I would ask for some deference to, we can break for lunch early and I can finish some of my other work.
Recess.
Recess. So,
Go play.
yeah, I'm not playing, but, okay, so with that, I will adjourn, I will recess us for lunch and we'll be back at 1 o'clock. Stop the recording. It is 1 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Let the record show that all 3 commissioners are present. We will start with our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I guess come on in. Our first order of business is, I have to inform folks officially that we do have a mask mandate in the courtroom. If you are, so I will ask you, we have masks here to comply. If you are choosing not to, so I guess I'm gonna give people an opportunity first. If not, so I will again ask you again, there is a mandatory mask mandate in the courthouse, and me and myself as the, I guess, presiding officer of the chairman, I see your signs, but the rules are the rules, and if you are not going to comply, which does not seem like you're going to, then I guess we will recess this meeting and we will move the meeting to Zoom only. And then we will recess for the next 5 minutes and we will reconvene in 5 minutes online.
Before we do that, I would like to explain why that is happening. Because if we allow people without masks in the room, regardless of how much we hate them, it is considered an illegal public meeting, which means I don't get to pull this voucher out and pay people's paychecks this week. And then you get to explain to all those people why their paychecks didn't get paid. Because it would be an illegal meeting, and any action we took in an illegal meeting would be illegal.
What law?
All right, we're done.
I'm just trying to explain.
You may join us
We'll
on.
wait for you. We'll wait for you. No, we're not coming back.
No, we're not coming back. We're going into our offices and we will be online and you
So
can
you're refusing
participate.
us our constitutional
No,
rights?
you
Yes,
can-
we would like to air elected officials.
You can participate.
You are violating your oath of office
No.
and denying us our constitutional rights.
You
to air
have
our
the
grievances
all
to
you have to do
elected
is put a
officials.
mask on.
I'm
or you
asking
can-
you, is that what you are doing? You're
I am-
violating your oath of office
No.
and
I am
denying
not
us our
violating-
constitutional rights to air our grievances to our
You
elected
You have
officials.
that opportunity
How?
within the rules.
The
you put a mask
Constitution
on.
says
Oh my
any
God.
law made in perverse to it is null and void.
Or, I
Dave
mean,
Sauter,
Well, you can ask.
you work for us.
Clear the rules.
Mr. Sheriff,
You work for us. We want to be heard.
All right. I'm leaving the room and I am, you know who? well,
You're going by man's rules, not ours. We're the ones that elected you. And here's where the rules come in.
No,
And if you're.
Yes, Article 1, Section 1, power to provide with the consent of the governor. You work for us. You work for us. We will be heard. After 2022, you may not be working for us. You will not be working for us. You will not be working for
run.
Be brave like Cowlitz County. Yes, be brave like Cowlitz County.
Please protect our community members. That is all we are asking, for you to do your job, uphold your oath, and protect our community members, which is your job.
That's right.
People are getting fired over this.
We gotta fire you. You will be fired. You'll be out of here.
Why won't you listen to your constituents?
Why you cannot come
I'm
up?
not
with
sitting here
that?
listening to
They
that.
call a special meeting so that we can air our grievances.
You will be remembered. We'll remember you. You'll be out of here. Feel free. Oh, we are free. We are free. We are Americans. We are free. You communists.
What?
That's right, they are communists.
You are communists.
You are communists.
You're taking our freedom away.
That's right. You work for
You are not doing your job.
You work for the Chinese Communist Party. That's why you're putting solar panels all over our fields to make the Chinese Communist Party happy. That's who you work for, not the people of Klickitat County.
What about the people that aren't wearing masks?
Go live in China.
Unfortunately.
Go live in China, you communists.
Because it is an illegal public meeting.
Why
No!
By the proclamation that he was.
Proclamation is not law. You uphold an oath to the
The
Constitution.
This
Constitution.
is where we differ in opinion. Does anybody want to listen to what I have to say? If you don't want to listen to what I have to say, that's fine.
Listen, we are asking him to listen to us. We need to listen
I
to him.
can't speak if you're yelling at me while I'm
Yes,
trying to speak.
listen.
let you speak. What law?
My opinion of the Constitution is a separation of powers. Those powers say the governor has the right to make a proclamation under emergency pandemic
Okay,
rules.
Are we under?
And you have the
Emergency-
right to,
Emergency proclamations wear out. They expire. They are not indefinite.
you realize right now the findings of that is 30 challenges to 0 wins. If
Meaning,
you want to challenge
not
and you challenge number
comply.
31, that's fine.
okay,
But 30 claims on that exact thing have been through the courts. All
More
30 of
powerful
them
than the
failed.
governor.
okay.
That's fine. I
Why
don't
won't you
disagree.
stand up for us?
I have something to say, everybody. Okay, we're here out of desperation
Yes.
because Joe Biden is attacking people of America. You know what I'm talking
And you're
about.
attacking
Okay,
us like
listen,
we're
listen.
doing
We're
mass
here,
mandates.
This is your
We're
job.
here.
we're here
Oh, I
because
just heard I was a
you have-
communist and getting
you
kicked out.
have- you have the ability to nullify that and pass local resolution.
No, that's not true.
Yes,
It
it
is
is.
true. It's your job. That's all we need you to do. That's why we're here, because you failed. Okay, that's it.
A local resolution doesn't, you don't get to supersede state law at
Yes,
the
you
county
do.
level.
It's not a law. Not a law. Quit lying to us.
Be brave.
You're standing there lying to the very people that voted for you.
Sir, all we ask is that you listen and acknowledge the fact that we are asking you for something. We
Dan.
put you where you are.
No, you're
Listen
yelling
to us.
and calling names. That
I
is
have
not
not
a
called,
civil
I have not called you a
conversation.
name, and he is,
And I will
he
not
is
get
exactly
into
right.
uncivil conversations with anybody
Okay.
on either side of an
He is
argument.
exactly right. People are losing their jobs. You guys sit up
If
there
any county
and
employee
people are
losing their
losing their
job,
jobs and bad things
you're
happen
absolutely right.
when
Talk
enough
the
of us
law
get
down.
desperate.
LawGab is county funded and those resolutions
of-
would protect these.
No,
employees.
they wouldn't. They would protect next year's budget and let us get to it. We can't nullify an existing contract. We can make sure that all new contracts have that stipulation. Have we had any time to deal with that? No, because we can't at an illegal public meeting. Give it a
This is
little
illegal
time.
public meeting.
Dan, I
Well-
voted for you because when you ran, you stood out different from the regular politicians.
No, I stood for the damn Constitution.
And
And I'll fight for the Constitution against my own party.
And right now, you are standing for a man,
You're-
not the Constitution.
You're absolutely wrong. I totally disagree with that.
Well, you can disagree all you want, but I voted for you because you said you were different, but now you're standing with
No, I'm not.
politicians.
You say I am.
Yeah, you are.